All right. Well, then we'll just jump right in. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company you work for?
Awesome. Yeah, my name is Skye Moffett. I work for talent in the talent aspect and the ambassadorship aspect for Such a Voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with the first question we ask everybody right at the beginning, and that is, what do you think the role is of a demo in 2024?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think it's changed much over the years and years and years because the purpose of a voiceover demo today is to reflect what your signature sound is and to prove your value and potential to a client or someone that you want to work with, perhaps an agent. And so it's really to showcase your talent. That is the easiest answer for a demo in 2024, and it's why it's so important to get one. I think, whether it's with us or somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, how long has Such a Voice been making demos?
Such a Voice has been in one capacity, very small garage, started 35 years ago, and then, has since grown. And I actually think this year it is 35 years, which is quite fun.
Wow.
But it's been like the last 10 years or so that we've really come into our own and are making just so much better than we used to be. And we have amazing people working with us. Everybody on the staff is committed to upholding industry standards, making sure our students can enter the industry and be successful. It's great.
Okay. Well, let's get some things out of the way that I'm sure our audience is thinking about so that it lends some credibility to the conversation moving forward. There's been
Yeah.
some negative assumptions or perhaps perception, reputation around Such a Voice
Yeah.
over the years in the voiceover industry. So I understand that you've made some shifts. So let's speak to that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So as I mentioned, it's been kind of the last 10 years, which, lucky for me, that's about when I came on. But there was a slow ousting of the person that started Such a Voice, who is no longer making business decisions or part of Such a Voice, just, in general. And that has been vital to the growth. So we've got, a new CEO that came on board, and we've got kind of the business aspect taken care of. And then we had a curriculum that was revamped and revamped. And actually in 2020, late 2022, we put out Curriculum 3.0, which is written by the amazing Heather Costa. And it had the input of all of our coaches. So it's written for voice actors by voice actors, and it's just, there's so much love and effort that's gone into the company in the last 10 years or so. And even in the last 3 to 4, we've continued to grow and improve on our services and hear what students have to say. And that's not going to stop. I've had some great conversations with people where they have feedback, and we can identify things that we can continue to improve based on everything from industry trends to just, something that might have been missed somewhere. But we are growing and growing and growing. And I think that anyone that works with us and any student that comes through, I myself can be proud of what Such a Voice has come to and what we are today versus, the what we used to be. And, because nobody wants to be a demo mill.
Right.
But at one point in our history, Such a Voice was a demo mill, and we weren't what we ought to have been. And so we've come a long way from that. And there's been a lot of effort from a lot of people that work with the company to make it otherwise.
So what you're saying is companies can grow and change and make different
Yeah.
decisions like people. I love it.
Yes, yes, and especially in an industry like ours where, it is small, it is tight knit, even though it's all over the world, all over the country. It's not just LA, but people talk to each other, people work with each other, and we can hear feedback and make those changes. And I love that it can be organic growth.
Beautiful. I love that. So what types of genres of demos do you produce at Such a Voice?
So we do a couple. Obviously, there's the main, commercial and narration. Everybody should produce those. We also do, we have an animation program and an audiobook program. The animation program is headed up by Michael Yurchek, and Chris Okawa is another animation coach with us. And they just, phenomenal work. We don't do a lot of animation demos, because we cater mostly to new voice actors. So we don't like to jump them straight into animation or audiobooks. We want them to get the base skills of commercial narration, the industry standard stuff. And then we also have our audiobook program, and that's headed up by Jeff Kafer. And yeah, we can also do, niche demos. We've done a couple of romantic specific audiobook demos. We can do promo. We do have coaches that can help us with our political demos. But as long as we have the staff member who has expertise in it and can make sure that it sounds, to industry standard, we can do most demos. But yeah, our bread and butter is commercial and narration.
Perfect. So one of the things we talk about is, do you think it's important for demo producers to niche down? And it sounds like in order to make that work, make sure you have coaches and producers on hand who are specializing in that genre.
Yes, exactly. We wouldn't have one of our, it's nothing against anybody on the staff, but if we have a coach that's never done animation, we're not going to have them coaching for animations. And likewise with producers, I think we have 5 producers, full-time producers on staff. And they've run the gamut from video games, specific animation, all the way to, audiobook, corporate narration, IVR. And we will always make sure that we assign the student to whoever it is that specializes there, because they should niche down. They're going to know what the specific sound is. They're up to the industry standard if something's changed. We don't want students to come through and just have a general, well, this feels like an audiobook, but it, sounds more like narration.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know that Such a Voice has coaching. So do you require coaching as part of the process to make a demo? And do you find that that could be a conflict of interest?
We do require coaching. Yeah. I think the only time we wouldn't require coaching is if one of our coaches or a friend of theirs who's, already well established in the industry wants to come in and have a demo made up. But otherwise, yeah, we do require coaching. Even if it's, we've had people that have come through and, they say, oh, I did this, 12 years ago. I'm trying to get back in. I don't need all of the basics, but I need some. And so we'll give them 4 to 6 hours, separated out over a couple of weeks, because there's always homework involved, so that they can kind of go through and retouch on everything. But any students that are coming through that have never done voiceover before, they have to get coaching. They have to do the full program. There's no skipping straight to a demo.
Perfect. Okay. So do you have a set of criteria that a talent needs to meet? Or is it like, oh, you've done X number of weeks of coaching, you get a demo regardless?
So we do rely on our coaches our program itself is 8 weeks of just strict one-on-one coaching with their coach.
Hmm.
And that doesn't include any of the home studio stuff. That doesn't include any of the, the tech stuff. That's all separate. This is just acting,
Just
8 weeks,
performance.
sometimes longer. Yeah, it's just the one-on-one voiceover technique stuff. And at the end of those 8 weeks, it is up to the coach to say, because some people, yeah, they're totally ready.
Hmm.
They've had an acting background, they were in theater, etc. But some people do need extra, and it's up to the coach before they pass them off to their producer to say, hey, we need 1 more session to hammer home on X, or hey, 2 more sessions and then you're going to be sound. So and they do. Our coaches are really good about, they're in the industry, they know what it should sound like.
Hmm.
And so they're very good about saying, no, I think you need 1 more session. And every now and then we get students that say, no, I'm going to do my demo. And, we can't force somebody to do extra coaching, and sometimes we do have a student that is convinced, we will give them, as much feedback as necessary. But sometimes, people think that they're ready.
I can speak to that. I mean, I thought I was ready for way more than I was earlier in my career. And now I go back and listen. I was not one of those people who was like imposter syndrome. I hate my voice. I was like, I'm awesome. And I had to learn that I wasn't the hard way. Right. So I can see how
Yeah.
some people might be hard headed and say, no, I'm ready. Like, I know I'm ready.
Yeah. And they've sometimes, they've got friends that say, oh, well, you could go and you could voice for, Subway or Subaru or Ford or whatever. And they hear that and it's like, well, but from a professional standpoint, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it happens.
So do you require a studio evaluation as part of the requirement to be ready to make a demo so that they're actually ready to work?
Yes, yes. So any student that comes through at Such a Voice, they have the option to do either a home studio recorded demo, which does require, it's not just the home studio advisory sessions to set everything up. It is also one of our producers comes in and they test all of the sound, 15 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of talking, etc. And then they can record it via IPDTL. Which we do really like. About a third of our students do that, because then it sets them up for the future of being able
Right.
to replicate, and be able to record from home all the time. But sometimes that's just not, it just can't happen. Someone's not ready yet. They haven't set up their studio. They don't have enough sound treatment, etc. And so about 2/3 actually record in a local studio that we vet beforehand. And usually it'll be within a 1 hour drive of them. So
So that then if they're ready to book work, they would have to go into the studio again to do the job,
they
is the
could, they
expectation.
could either go into the studio again, or we continue to work with them just because they've recorded their demo. If they were maybe not ready, or to set up their home studio, or we're still working on certain things, that they just, they weren't ready to record from home and recorded from a studio. We do want them to be set up by the time they, quote unquote, leave, graduate Such a Voice.
Okay.
We want them to be ready with their home studios to record work, and studio quality work. So
Right. Seems
yeah,
like a logical step.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so do you feel like there should be a sort of separation of church and state, so to speak, between demo production and coaching and casting, or do you think it benefits the talent to have kind of a one size fits all or one stop shop, I guess is what I should say.
I mean, so either way, because I mean, Such a Voice is a one-stop shop, but we do separate out our coaching from our producers, from our script writers, and so there is that separation because we have producers, that's what they do every day. They produce, voice act, they do the voiceover stuff. Whereas the coaches, they can teach more about the technique. We have coaches, who don't know a lot about production, who don't know a lot about say, Audacity, or maybe they use Reaper or something, but they know voiceover. And
Hmm.
so we do kind of separate out that, we want our students to have the best coaching in each section, but that's not to say that they couldn't go somewhere, or that there isn't, another company that, oh, I'm your coach, I'm your producer. As long as they're putting out high quality work, that matters. So I don't think that we have a specific stance on, oh, it should all be separate, or, oh, it should all be in one. But we operate from the baseline of coaches are coaches, producers are producers, etc.
And it sounds like there's some oversight on a talent. So like let's say a coach says they're ready to go and they go in to make their demo.
Yeah.
Is someone else evaluating to make sure that there's an
Yes.
outside opinion? Yeah.
Yeah. We have we have two guys, Shane and Dale, and they're both very tech specific. They are the ones that got us up to speed for IPDTL as a company overall, and they evaluate every home studio that's going to record a demo. And so we trust them. We know with them that it's going to be up to standard.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about your production process. What does that look like? And we say production process, but because you're including coaching as part of that, maybe just from start to finish, I come to you and I say, I've always wanted to do voiceover.
Yeah.
Take me through the process.
Fabulous. So we do have the voice evaluation in the beginning, and that's for a couple of reasons. It's to see if they have, what it takes, and there we look for, the heart, the passion, the ability to put acting into words. That's what we do. It's not just voice acting, it's acting. And then from there, if the voice evaluation goes well, and of course we can't work with some people, but if the voice evaluation goes well, we then assign a coach, and we assign coaches based on personality and learning type. So there's a little form that our students fill out that says what they learn best from, so that we make sure that we can assign them to a coach that fits that. And then for 8 weeks, it's every week, 1 hour a week. They go through the voiceover education process. And it's super fun. I've done it myself. It's so much fun. You have a blast with your coach, and there's all of the basics in there, all of the skills. And then outside of your one-on-one personalized coaching with for voiceover, we also have a home studio. We have a home studio setup. We have one-on-one home studio. I believe it's about 3 hours worth separated out into hour or half-hour sessions. So students can set up their home studio properly, learn Audacity, and we provide them with a Audio Technica setup for a home studio, which we are looking at, upgrading, because we've heard tell that maybe we could do a better job with our studios. So we're looking into that to see if there's one that makes sense to provide to beginners, because a first home studio is not your last home studio.
For sure.
And then after while they're doing that kind of menagerie of coaching, they're learning their home studio, they're doing the one-on-one coaching, and at a certain point the coach will say, hey, we're getting ready to create your scripts, and we have in-house script writers at Such a Voice. So they fill out a form. It's about 20 questions, and it's so much information, so that the script writers can learn everything from what kind of car do you love, what are you passionate about, is it scuba diving, is it boating, what are all the things that you love, so that we can write the best commercial and narration scripts. Or if they're doing the animation, we have separate animation writers for character scripts, but how can we make the best scripts that showcase your talent? And so the scripts are personalized. You get them before you graduate with your coach. And then once you're done with coaching, and pending, the coach saying you need some more or you need less, well, there wouldn't be less, but you need some more, then they pass them off to our producers. They're assigned a producer. They then get to choose if it's going to be home studio recording their demo or in studio recording. They then have a couple of sessions with the producer to find the best takes of the scripts, obviously not over reading or over processing, but figuring out what works best for that talent with those scripts, and then off to recording. And that's usually a 2 or 3 hour session. And then after that, the student will start taking more classes, because this is usually a 3 to 6 month process. And while we are, post-producing, mixing and mastering the demo, they are actually going through branding and marketing classes. They might be finishing up some home studio stuff if they didn't record the demo from home. They're in the VO Pro group that we have, which is student-led, coach-guided, because we don't want the lemmings to go off a hill together. To make sure that they understand things. We actually also have student advisors that keep them kind of on track, because we actually have so much in our program that students forget to take certain things. So we want to make sure they get the audition mastery courses, they're doing the branding and marketing, that they're getting this array of information, and getting it into their system, so that they can also enter the voiceover industry and do well.
Fabulous. So a couple of questions about that.
Yeah.
So the producers are also directing.
Yes, all of our producers, they're also in voice directors, and then the producer is not necessarily doing all of because we have a post-production department.
Oh, okay.
The producer is the voice director and the QCer, quality control of everything that's happening with the demo. So if it comes back and they take a look at it and they the music's not quite right, or this needs a little bit more editing, that's how they function.
Kind of the executive producer in
yeah,
terms
exactly.
of, yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. And then let's talk a little bit about the cost of that. Like, the cost, is it an all-in-one package that includes those post demo recording sessions, or is it piecemeal and
you can do either. So with the we have our main program, the one that we encourage all students to do, because it has the most, and it gets you 2 demos, because it's our commercial and narration program. And again, 2 sets of demos, 1 commercial, 1 narration, and that one costs $5,895. But that includes, everything that I just mentioned. It's the home studio, one-on-ones, it's the branding and marketing, it's, all of the one-on-one with your coach, the production, the VO Pro group. We also do lifetime support for anybody who wants to come back and ask questions. So all of the stuff that I mentioned, including the VO Pro group, which has monthly and weekly webinars, anything under the sun, whether it's P2P information, improv, script analysis, all of that is included in that, because it's expensive, just shy of 6,000 is a good chunk of money. But you're getting so much with it. But we can do piecemeal. We don't usually like to, because we like for the student, if we've got that full program, we know exactly where they're at. And if they do 6 hours because they're being piecemeal, and then they want to record their demo, but they're not ready, they don't have a home studio that they didn't purchase, we like for that package to be the go-to for our students, because we know exactly how to help them at every stage.
Mhm.
And then the animation and the audiobook demos. If you were to come on with a commercial narration, that package, we can tack on for slightly extra, 6 months after you record your commercial narration, an animation program, if that's what you want. And it costs less than if you just came in and did an animation program or just an audiobook. So it's really great. And I know that prices vary greatly. I've heard everything from, $1,000 up to, I heard $20,000 while I was at VO
That's
Atlanta. I was like, wow.
that's a little bit of a misnomer. I know that story all too well because we
Oh,
covered it on
fair.
our podcast, but there is a demo and there is a program that you can purchase that costs $20,000, but it nobody really does the
That's
$20,000
fair. And of
package.
course, if it's the creme de la creme de la creme,
Exactly.
by all means.
It's like 2 years of intense
Oh,
coaching
wow.
with a variety of pros, like, so,
Okay.
and it yeah. I don't
Fair.
wanna throw him under the like, I think he got
No,
kinda thrown
no.
under the bus for a little while, but, it's actually a legitimate program. I interviewed
Awesome.
him, and I thought it was a very legitimate program. So,
Fantastic.
so is the microphone included in that 5,009 whatever, like
Yeah,
$6,000
yeah. With
package?
that home studio package, you get your microphone, you get your headphones, and then of course the home studio and the interface. And it's like I said, Audio Technica. We actually just got some feedback that the microphone, which is an AT 2020,
Mhm.
that one might not be the best. And so we're actually currently looking. We work with Roman Barry is on our team. He's out of Canada and does a phenomenal job with anything home studio. He's a genius, and so he's looking into what mics we might be able to provide to students that are better.
I say I used to hear the AT 2020 a lot, and these days it seems to be the Rode NT1 5th gen that you can use USB or
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
in the same price range if you don't have to, purchase an interface. So that's the one that
yeah.
I typically recommend for a beginner. But then the talent is on their own to treat their space, right?
Yes, we have a bunch of videos, because when it's not one-on-one, like, well, I mentioned earlier that there's homework between each session that they have with their coach. And so similarly to practicing scripts when they're doing their one-on-one coaching for voiceover technique, when they're with their home studio advisor, there's homework in between there. So there's Audacity videos so that they learn how to edit. And we suggest Audacity not because it's the best or anything, but because it's free.
Yeah.
Uh,
I used it for
yeah,
several years.
yeah. Unless they're going through our audiobook program, then it's Reaper, but DAWs are DAWs.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they also get videos that explain, it starts I think one of the first ones that we have is, this is the difference between soundproofing and sound treatment,
Such an important
how to
conversation.
understand. Yeah. And so they get the gist of it. And we tell them, you can do it for $4,000, or you can do it for 40, or you can do it for free. There's so many different options.
It's true.
And so we don't tell them specifically, you need to do, this, and this, because every space is different, and every space requires something different. If you live in Washington, D.C. under, Dulles, and you've got planes flying overhead, you're going to treat it differently than if you live in the suburbs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
and so that one, there can be some one-on-one, and students are always welcome to, they can pay for time with one of our home studio advisors for specifically sound treating. But that one, there is just videos homework that they can follow along with and come up with what's best.
Well, it's nice that it's curated because, I remember trying to figure it out myself early in my career, and I'm like, I was standing in the Walmart store looking at egg crate
Oh
mattresses, and I
yes,
was gonna,
yep,
like, staple that to my wall, and I
yeah,
thought, "I should probably research this first
yeah.
because
Maybe
I had
before
just
we get the staple
seen
gun.
yeah, I had just seen, pictures of, like, what looked like egg crate on people's walls, and I learned that literally will do nothing for me. And
Yeah.
so I spent some time learning what I should do instead. But my point is, it's nice to have someone guide you through that process.
Yes.
So
And even, so when I, I didn't know the difference between a soundproofing and a sound treatment, and nobody would think to put something overhead on the ceiling because
right.
of, the resonance, and there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a ton to learn
Yeah.
about it.
We do
So
become jacks of many trades.
it's so true. It's so true. So are you open to collaborating with talent? It sounds like you do allow some kind of piecemeal. So let's say a talent came to you and they're like, I've been in the industry for 10 years. I just need an updated demo. I
Yeah.
want to write my own scripts. I've already got it already done. I just need somebody to produce. Is Such a Voice open to that kind of collaboration?
Yes, we would have to review the scripts. We would have to review everything, and and that's just for quality control,
Right.
because we have actually had students come back and they're like, "Oh, well, I write copy and I wrote my own scripts, but they're not to industry standard." And so it's like, well, we're gonna have to tell you no, just because, not that we know best, but when it comes to industry standards, we are going to suggest something. So no, if somebody came in and they wanted to work with our producers or work with us, as I mentioned, we have a couple of our coaches that have actually recorded their main demos in recent years, with us, and we can definitely make that happen. But
Awesome. So it sounds like case by case basis.
case by case, yes, yes. Because also if they come in and they're like, well, I've been in voiceover for 10 years, but I've never booked a client. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
there's a big difference there.
what if?
So, in the time that you've been producing demos, what
Mhm.
shifts have you seen in the industry regarding standards around demo production?
Um, oh gosh, I think I was actually just discussing this with one of our producers. So I think that the biggest shift is recently you see a lot of pro talent, and I've noticed this just in the hiring and going to websites of pro talent. They're starting to really niche down the repertoire, and so it's no longer, oh, just an audiobook or an animation. It is a, this is for video games, in animation. This is for, just vague character work in animation, or this is specifically children's character work. And likewise with something like audiobooks, and narration, you're getting, well, this is promo, this is, so really niching down their repertoire. They've also gotten shorter. And I think
Yeah.
that that's, casting is casting wider and wider nets. And so, they're listening to 6 seconds. And so they're getting shorter, a little bit quicker. And there's, my understanding is there's producers out there that are doing just tiny 8 to 15 second snippets as well. And
Yeah.
so I think, where we used to see up to a minute 20, a minute 30 demos, now we're seeing sub 60-second demos,
Yep.
where, it's just trying to get as much highlight of your voice in one go.
Yeah.
um, and one thing that I've also seen that I don't necessarily agree with, and I don't think, our producers would either, is you're starting to see more people, oh, well, I voiced, this Honda commercial, and Honda was my client, so now that's my demo. And we actually don't suggest that, because the Honda commercial that you voiced for Honda is to highlight and showcase Honda.
Honda.
It is not to highlight and showcase you as the voice talent. And so real world examples are great to have on your website, but they may not be the best tactic in terms of, highlighting your finished work and producing the highest quality for your voice to show to potential clients, or even agents.
Again, I think it's a case by case basis, right? If you get
Yeah.
the spot back and you're like, I sound, this is me. This
Woo! Yes.
showcases me, then it might be something you want to use, but you can't
Yeah.
really judge that for yourself. You need an outside opinion for sure.
True, true. Oh, and also another one that we've seen, more of is I've noticed, slating is starting to happen more on demos. I was like, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to anyone who has slating on their demos, so I'm wondering if those are self-produced, maybe?
Perhaps, yeah, yeah. Where, because and I know that slating is kind of come and gone in the
Yeah.
voiceover industry, anyways. But we don't produce with slating. But I have seen it more recently, and so maybe that's a new
Interesting.
trend coming up.
So another trend that I've seen, and I'm curious if Such a Voice does this, we
Yeah.
haven't spoken to this, is that a lot of demo producers are giving the full demo and then they're giving the individual spots so that they can use them like on pay to plays where they want samples, like 8 to 15 second
Yes.
clips. So do you
Yeah,
give
yeah, we
those
do
spots?
provide the individual spots, and we actually, one of the things that we like to do is when, because they get, 6 commercials with a demo with us, and then 4 narration chunks. And
Hmm.
so we will actually, we'll put the best one in the front, or we'll tell them, we can arrange it however you like. If you love the way that you love what you're hearing here. And so yeah, we do sometimes have these snippets, and we can cut them out for talent. So if they're on, backstage, or Bodalgo or something, they can utilize it in that way. Yes.
As a sample. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go with the last question. Why should a
Yeah.
talent choose to work with such a voice specifically?
Yeah, I think there's two biggies. One is the voiceover industry, pre-pandemic, but especially post-pandemic, is becoming more open to working with talent from anywhere. You don't have to be in New York City or LA or Chicago anymore. You can be in Kansas City or Santa Fe or somewhere, where you don't have to travel to go into a studio if you have a great home studio. And so one of the nice things about such a voice is we we coach you from your home. Everything is
Hmm.
online, so you're already starting with that kind of leg up. We teach you how to use your home studio. You're gonna have an IPDTL demo, if you choose, obviously, where you're ready to go after your demo to record work. And so I think that's a huge bonus in today's in just the industry atmosphere. And then also we function like a voiceover university. We're not a 2-year program.
Yeah.
But there's just so much that you get with us. It's the demos that are totally personalized, the script personalized, branding and marketing courses, the VO Pro, group that people get access to has so much information for beginners, intermediate, and some into the advanced level, of voiceover. So you can find out so much just from taking part. And that's not to say that we don't believe in cross training. I'm a firm believer, and I know many of our coaches take the same stance, where if you get your demo done with, insert demo producer here, it could be us, it could be anybody else. Get your next demo with someone else, get your next coaching with somebody else, because it helps to cross train. You might learn something that nobody else mentioned at the last place that you got training. And so, we are a great starting point for beginner voice actors. And we can be a great point of contact for, current voice actors that are active in the industry. But I think that the getting people to be able to work from their home studio in the industry as it is, and having that, almost university style of many courses and classes, having someone to hold your hand along the way as an advisor is also a bonus. So I think, there's a lot of great programs out there, but I think that we are unique in that.
I love that. All right. So there is one question I forgot to ask. I feel like
Yeah,
we've kind of covered it, but I want to give you a chance to speak to it specifically. How
totally.
important are custom scripts versus using existing ad copy when
Oh.
crafting a demo? And what does that mean to you, custom scripts?
Custom scripts, yes, I think that they are more important, and the company standpoint is that they are the best in terms of demo production. If you're taking from something that's already, say Coca-Cola, the latest Coca-Cola commercial, um, that is theft. That is protected. But B, it's not tailored to you. Granted, once your demo is produced and you're out in the voiceover industry, it's not always going to be something that you love or that you're into, that you're speaking for. You may not love Coca-Cola, but you might love Dr. Pepper or Tatcha skincare or something. And so writing a personalized scripts to evoke your emotions, to bring out the best in your voice. And, even if your cadence is a certain way, to highlight and showcase the best of your voice, you can manipulate a script and make it work for you best. And I think that that's really important with a demo, because the whole point, as we discussed in the beginning, is to make yourself marketable, is to highlight your skill. And so personalized scripts do that for you.
So, personalized or customized, I've learned
Yeah.
now means different things to different demo producers.
Oh,
Some
okay.
mean that they go to the internet and lift a script and they just tweak a couple of words. Some mean that
Ah,
they're
okay.
picking a brand and literally creating a whole new campaign for that brand based on your voice. Is
Yes.
it which one does such a voice lean towards?
We're the
No wrong
latter.
answers.
Yeah. We'll get the general feel. So say, the coach says, "Oh, this student, has a phenomenal, girl next door conversational read." We're going to create scripts that are the commercial that highlight that. We're also going to make some challenging scripts, say she loves Chanel. That's more luxury. And so we're going to try to pull something that she loves, that she's passionate about, and then create a spot specifically for her that highlights both her sound and the capability of luxury. And so we play around with a little bit of both, but it's to highlight your sound, your specific voice, and we will create something totally from scratch.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So, we'll throw in, is there any question I didn't ask you or any information you want the audience to
Gosh.
know?
No, no, I think we've covered a lot. I appreciate you asking about, our history, because we're very proud of where we're at now. We're totally open to feedback. We're taking more of we're striking out more in the industry, because one of the things that we've also realized is we're even though it seems like we all operate in our little voiceover bubbles, the health of the industry that our students are entering is just as important as our students. And so we're also trying to take part more in the industry. And so our coaches get perks and benefits for working with us. Our students are being given more information about the industry. We're having a presence more at some places like VO Atlanta. We're going to be at One Voice Dallas, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just trying to take part in the hemisphere that our students are in. That's really exciting. It's kind of the next step of such a voice. We've improved, and now we're taking that next jump. So
That is awesome to hear. I love to hear about growth, and
thanks.
thank you for sharing your story with us and for sharing about
Yeah.
such a voice. And we'll say goodbye.
Ah, goodbye. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.